Imagine you're living in a small American colony sometime in the late 1600s. The town is quiet. Everyone knows everyone else. There are no police stations as we know them today. No television, no internet, and very few forms of entertainment. News travels by word of mouth, and a person's reputation is one of the most valuable things they own. Now imagine that one morning the church bell rings. Not for worship, not for a celebration, but because someone is about to be punished. People leave their homes, children stop playing, shopkeepers step outside. Within minutes, an entire crowd begins walking toward the river. At the center of all this attention is a single wooden chair, attached to the end of a long wooden beam. It doesn't look like an instrument of torture. It almost looks ordinary. But for the person sitting in it, that chair represents one of the most humiliating experiences imaginable. This was known as the Ducking Stool, one of the strangest punishments ever used in colonial America. The accused would be tied tightly into the chair so they couldn't escape. Then, using the long beam, officials would slowly lower them into a river or pond. For a few terrifying seconds, the person disappeared beneath the water. Then they were lifted back up. Barely able to catch their breath, they were lowered again and again. The cold water wasn't the real punishment, the audience was. Hundreds of eyes watched every second. Some laughed, some mocked. Others nodded with approval, believing justice was being served. To us, it feels cruel and unnecessary. But to many people living at the time, this wasn't cruelty, it was order. To understand why, we have to step into the mindset of the 17th century. Colonial towns were incredibly small. Sometimes only a few hundred people lived together, sharing the same church, the same market, and the same daily routines. Survival depended on cooperation. A single conflict between neighbors could divide an entire community. Because of that, harmony became almost sacred. Anything that threatened it, even constant arguing, public insults, or challenging authority, was treated as a danger to everyone. That's why the ducking stool was most commonly used against people accused of being common scolds. Today, the word sounds almost ridiculous. Back then, it was an actual legal offense. A common scold was usually someone believed to argue constantly, spread rumors, insult neighbors, or create conflict. Notice something interesting? Most of these weren't violent crimes. They were social crimes. The punishment wasn't designed to stop physical harm, it was designed to control behavior. And that's where human psychology becomes fascinating. Modern psychology tells us that humans fear social rejection almost as much as physical pain. Our ancestors evolved in small tribes where being rejected by the group could mean starvation or death. Because of that, our brains became wired to protect our reputation. Colonial leaders may not have understood neuroscience, but they understood people. If someone feared becoming the laughingstock of the entire town, they were far less likely to repeat the behavior. Instead of changing the body, they tried to change the mind. But there's another side to this story. The crowd wasn't there only to punish the accused. The punishment was also sending a message to everyone watching. Every spectator silently learned the same lesson. This is what happens if you step outside the rules. In psychology, this is called social learning. People don't learn only from what happens to them. They learn from watching what happens to others. The ducking stool turned one person's suffering into a public lesson for hundreds. And perhaps that's why these events attracted such large crowds. Perhaps the most unsettling part is who usually ended up in that chair. The punishment overwhelmingly targeted women. An outspoken woman, one who challenged neighbors or questioned authority, was far more likely to be labeled a common scold than a man behaving the same way. The ducking stool wasn't just about maintaining peace. It was also about enforcing social expectations, especially expectations about how women were supposed to behave. As ideas about justice slowly changed during the 18th century, punishments based on public humiliation began disappearing. If this story surprised you, remember to like the video, subscribe for more forgotten history, and let us know in the comments which historical punishment should we explore next.